Someone once said, if your voice is loud, some people will listen. But if your message is strong, everyone will pay attention. Hi everyone, welcome Tat Channel, and today I have an inspiring story for you.
In a quiet little town, a father and his son lived together. The father was a small business owner who worked tirelessly every day to provide for his family. His hands were rough and calloused from years of labor, his eyes etched with the wrinkles of time and worry. Though life was not easy, he never complained. To him, hard work was a source of pride, a means to build a better future for his loved ones. But his son was different. The boy was carefree and full of youthful energy. Instead of helping his father, he spent his days playing with friends, running through the streets, laughing under the bright sun. He didn't understand the sweat his father shed every day, nor did he notice the silent disappointment in his father's eyes whenever he avoided responsibility. The father wasn't angry with his son, but his heart was heavy with concern. He didn't blame the boy for being young, but he feared that if his son never learned the value of hard work, he would grow up without knowing how to stand on his own. The father wanted his son to understand that life wasn't just about fleeting joys. It required effort, perseverance, and responsibility. One late afternoon, as the sun dipped behind the distant hills, the father quietly called his son over. In his hands, he held an old, worn-out t-shirt. His gaze was deep yet gentle. Handing the shirt to his son, he asked softly, "Son, how much do you think this t-shirt is worth?" The boy looked at the faded fabric and instinctively replied, "Probably just $1, father." The father nodded slightly and smiled. "Then, I want you to try and sell it for $2. If you can do that, I will teach you an even greater lesson." And so, the boy's journey began. Not just to sell an old t-shirt, but to discover the true value of hard work, creativity, and his own potential. Holding the old t-shirt his father had given him, the boy doubted it could be worth more than $1. But wanting to make his father proud, he followed his instructions and took it to the market. At first, no one paid attention to him or the worn-out shirt. Under the scorching sun, he patiently stood there, calling out to passers-by. After countless rejections, a kind man finally agreed to buy it for $2. The boy rushed home, excited to show his father his first achievement. But instead of praising him, the father simply smiled and handed him another old t-shirt, just as worn as the first. "This time, sell this t-shirt for $20, he said. The boy's eyes widened in surprise. Who would buy an old shirt for such a high price? But instead of giving up, he started thinking. After a while, he remembered a friend who printed cartoon characters on shirts. He quickly went to his friend and had a popular cartoon image printed on the t-shirt. With the newly designed shirt in hand, he headed to a park near a school. Soon, a child fell in love with the design and begged his parents to buy it for $20. This time, the boy returned home with pride, his eyes shining with excitement. But his father still wasn't done. He handed the boy yet another t-shirt and said, "Now, sell this one for $200. The boy hesitated. $200? That was an enormous price for an old shirt. But then, he heard about a big event where a famous Hollywood actress would be appearing. He pushed through the crowd, determined, and, after much effort, managed to approach the actress. With sincerity in his eyes, he asked if she could sign his t-shirt. Amused by his determination, she agreed. With the autographed shirt in hand, he went to a crowded marketplace and shouted about its exclusivity. In no time, a bidding war began, and the t-shirt eventually sold for an incredible $2,000. the boy had not just sold shirts, he had learned the most valuable lesson of all. Your worth is not determined by circumstances, but by how you choose to create value. The boy rushed home, his eyes shining with excitement. In his hands was $2,000, an amount he had never imagined he could earn from selling an old t-shirt. Bursting with pride, he ran to his father and exclaimed, "Father, I sold the t-shirt for $2,000. The father looked at his son, his eyes filled with pride and deep emotion. He gently asked, "My son, what have you learned from this?" The boy paused, thinking for a moment. As he looked back on his journey, he realized that none of the t-shirts had value on their own. At first, they were just old, worn-out pieces of cloth. But with each challenge, he found ways to make them special. And now, he understood. Their value wasn't determined by their condition, but by what he did to enhance them. Father, I've learned that if I have determination, I will always find a way to turn the impossible into reality. The father smiled, his eyes filled with warmth. He placed a hand on his son's shoulder and said in a deep, steady voice, "That's right, my son. Life is just like those t-shirts. If you work hard, stay creative, and never give up, you will create value for yourself. Never underestimate your worth, because you can go much farther than you ever imagined." The boy listened intently, his heart overflowing with gratitude. He had not only learned how to sell t-shirts, but also understood the true meaning of hard work, creativity, and self-belief. That day, his father taught him a lesson that would stay with him for a lifetime. A person's value is not determined by where they start or their circumstances, but by their willpower, perseverance, and determination.